The Saanich Peninsula, north of the city of Victoria, holds some of southern British Columbia's best farmland. It is the home of the Victoria International Airport. It includes a few small clusters of business like these on Keating Crossroad, and rising in the center of the peninsula, Mount Newton, mantled by the deep green of John Deane Park. The first sight that attracts your attention as you come down this path is these magnificent old trees, these huge firs and cedars that remind you that John Deane Park is the home of the largest stand of old-growth forest we still have on the Saanich Peninsula. And this big fir, the largest tree in the park, was named His Majesty by John Deane in 1910 when George V ascended the throne. These overgrown stumps tell us that this is not a virgin forest. Parts of it have been logged, trees have been cut for other purposes, there have been buildings, trails have been cut. And the Saanich people were using this mountain long before Captain Cook dropped anchor off of Vancouver Island. To this day, there are places, perhaps like this quiet meadow, where the natives come for meditation, for vision quests, for initiations. To them, this mountain is Lauwelnew, a place of refuge, where their ancestors once took shelter from a great flood. These rocks were set here to mark this meadow as special, but no one today knows how long they've been here or what they meant to the people who placed them here. But we do know how the Europeans established their claim. In 1852, Joseph Pemberton placed a wooden peg at the summit where this viewing platform now stands and renamed Lauwelnew Mount Newton in honor of a Hudson's Bay clerk who later became the chief factor at Fort Langley. Joseph Pemberton's original wood post, of course, is long gone. His survey notes have been lost, but over here, amongst the salal, is a monument established by John Trutch in 1858, which subsequently became the basis for all of the surveys of both North and South Saanich. In 1895, John Deane, a prominent Victoria businessman, purchased 100 virgin acres of the mountain, and in 1909 selected this spot to build a cabin which he named Elahi, meaning place of relaxation.
In 1917, John Deane built a much larger cabin right on this little bench behind me. And I'm standing very close to the point from which the 1917 photograph of this cabin was taken. After building the cabin, John Deane surrounded it with a garden and surrounded the garden with a fence to protect it from sheep. He built a gate approximately right here. And what you see here, this post, that bar, that post over there, are what remain of the old gate.
In 1921, reserving only the cabin site shown on the map, John Deane donated 80 acres as a provincial park. The park board put in a duck pond, and on this location established a picnic site.
And in here, just above the duck pond, they built a very sturdy gazebo, which lasted there for many years. In February 1942, the Royal Canadian Air Force installed a red obstruction light on top of a tree up on the top of the mountain and built a small road. Since that time, the road has been improved, and the original obstruction light has morphed into a Coast Guard radar tower, a radio communications tower, and the Department of Transport radar tower. In 1993 to 94, this 4.5 million liter reservoir was built for fire protection and for extra water storage for North Saanich and for Sydney.
Over the years, the park has been enlarged by a series of private and public donations to an area of 450 acres or 180 hectares, all of it now returned to its natural state and laced by a network of well-preserved trails.
This trail, which follows the route that the Saanich people used for many generations to reach the summit, was improved by John Deane, and in 1920 He called it Norma Way in honor of his friend Norma Porter. In the 1990s, the park board renamed it the Thunderbird Trail. It now merges with the access road in less than half a kilometer.
And beyond the summit, it connects with the Lookout Trail.
So I'm now standing on Pickles Bluff, named in honor of Sidney Pickles, which offers a remarkable view out toward the southeast.
The West Viewpoint Trail begins near the duck pond and leads through the forest out to the western boundary of the park.
So now I'm at the West Viewpoint, which at the moment offers only a very narrow view across Finlayson Arm.
Bob Boyd's climb leads steeply up from the duck pond. The Barrett-Montfort Trail loops around the northeast corner of the park. The Surveyor's Trail touches the southern boundary. The Elahi Trail runs south from John Dean's original home site. And my favorite, the Woodward Trail, connects the Elahi Trail to the West Viewpoint Trail.
This path, known as Skipper's Path, was named for Freeman King, scoutmaster whom they called Skipper, who often brought his scouts camping in the park and who served for a time as the chairman of the board who was appointed to administer the park.
The park is, of course, a great place to walk, but it's much more than that. A tame forest, but still a forest, and almost all of us, First Nations or recent immigrants, come from people who once lived, hunted, gathered food in forests. And these dark spaces still cast a deep shadow over our collective soul. The sounds, the silences, the rhythms of the forest still resonate with us, an endless and intricate symphony of germination and growth, of death and decay. And the park's quiet, meditative places are always there for us, even when we are too busy to think about them.